Are we here? Hello there. Connecting. All right then. I'm going to run this if you're here early. And I'll be back in a minute. Ah, hello. Now we can hear me. That's good. How's it going? Yo, Andrew. Hello. How you doing, man? I was doing some work and I got the urge to maybe share some of it. I had some conversations with Matt from the Ancient Architects channel just recently, and it led me onto an idea. I was doing some research for him. We were just talking about some stuff with the Great Pyramid, and it made me start looking at my original footage from going through there. And considering that I'm going to be in there, hopefully myself, touch wood, I get a negative test and all that sort of shit. I'm going to be going into that thing myself. I thought it'd be a good time to kind of review the footage from going in there in the first. Well, one of the original times I went in there. In fact, the only time we've really been able to film in there. They don't generally let you in there with the cameras, but we whipped out the phones and did a bunch of recording, and it's actually pretty good footage. And I wanted to review it because I actually had some ideas from a video, but I thought it'd be something that might be worth sharing. So I've had this giant widescreen monitor that I've installed in here now, so I'm trying to it's really messed up my streaming setup. The way OBS sends to a streaming PC like this. This camera is just gigantic relative to the rest of the monitor. So I've tried to pin it down to this one window in terms of what you can see. I've got OBS running on 2 computers, That's a little confusing. Assuming you guys can hear me okay, that's always a good thing. What the hell is that, though? Alright, now OBS is frozen. So I bet if I press play, you probably can't even see anything on the screen, huh? And I've even got the wrong camera on. How about that? There we go. There we go. Yeah, OBS has completely died on this computer, so we'll turn off Audacity. We won't do that. Still working some details out. If you can't tell. What is going on here? Let me kill. You guys can't see any of this, given that. Actually, I'll just go back to. I wish I knew which camera to use. There we go. Sorry. Let me just kill OBS and start it again, and then we'll actually get to sharing some footage. Matt's latest on the Osaka Castle Megalith. It looks cool. It's actually what surprised me about Matt's latest on the Osaka Castle thing was how narrow it is. Like it's like this narrow. Like it's 100+ ton piece of stone, but they narrowed it down to about this much. Crazy. Like I thought it looked so much bigger from the outside. You think it's like a stone like Sacsayhuaman or something, and you'd think it'd be a couple 100 tons just, but it's like this thick. But yeah, they really narrowed it down. I did have some thoughts about that. Because I recently have been digging into Chavan Temple, and they were talking about a bridge that these guys made across the river that was wiped away in 1945 in a landslide. This is a site north of Lima in Peru, and I found some accounts talking about the original bridge that had these stones of like 7 meters by 11 meters as part of this bridge, big like polished granite stones. And I haven't been able to find any pictures of it. Holy crap! What is this music? Please stop. It's well, I can tell you what this music is. It's the suffering from, I guess the whole you can't use any good music. You can't use non-copy. You can't use copywritten music, which is any music really. I'll get back to this. I swear. Okay, so you guys will have to just stand by while I struggle like a. So now if I change this. I don't know what this is. Okay, we can delete that. I'm sorry, you just have to 1 second here. It's a complicated setup. I've got like 2 PCs with sending 2 audio channels over the network, plus the widescreen monitor is like a 1440p, but it's like 3660 by 1440, and it just doesn't translate to the capture card very well. So you've got to run OBS and then project the OBS copy of your screen to the third monitor, which is the capture card. Yeah, ridiculous, but it's just the way it goes. So all I wanted to do now, if I do this should be what I want. All right, there we go. Yeah, so if I let's see, here's the widescreen, the whole screen, just to illustrate what I'm talking about, just because I'm doing it. This is the entire widescreen with my entire monitor, but it's like 3660. So I'm just trying to, and I know it probably screws it up on most other people's screens. So I'm just going to picture the video I'm just going to whack the video window in there, and we'll go from there. Terribly sorry. Let's start this. Let's see. Okay. Catch up on chat now. I've got the technical issues sorted. It's late night for me. I'm a little loose. It's a rare occasion. A standing stone originally. The slab in the bridge, I don't exactly know. So this is some footage going into the bridge. There is sound in this, which is why I've turned off the music. There's a lot of sound in this, and I'll give you some background. I'll get back to chat. But the background is that when you go into the Great Pyramid, you can't take cameras in, and it's kind of a thing. I'm going to try and get more footage when I go over there in a week or 2. But generally, carrying any like cameras or gear, no. We have a private visit too, but just publicly, private visits, I don't know how much they give it crap, but publicly, there's always a guy at the top that stops you from taking gear. It's the one of the few places where they're like, no cameras. So of course, but I'd been in there a bunch of times, and none of the cameras, none of it, they don't care really once you're in. So as soon as I walked in, whoop, out comes the phone, and so did Luke. So we're going to look at the perspective of it from phone cameras, from two different perspectives, pluses and minuses on both sides. Mine was the worst. The resolution's not as good, the sound's not as good, but I filmed this way. And Luke has his fancy camera on him, but he filmed this way. But it's close to 4K res and the sound is great. So we'll see how it goes. And this is just the walk up the stones on the outside. And I think we walked up to look at the main entrance. Now, I may even show a little map of the Great Pyramid so we know what we're looking at here. Oh, Larry took in like, I've been thinking, I've got like a construction laser level because I've done tiling at the house. And I've thought about bringing it because it's like a self-leveling laser, like grid system. It would look epic for like shots and shit. And you can also then use it as a tool, but like just to check. I mean, there's people have done it, but yeah, imagine how that would get you like laser. I do actually love this shot. It's looking directly up at the thing and panning across the skyline as you are near the front entrance of it, and how it forms a perfect angle. Like as it disappears into the horizon, like that's how big the thing is. If you haven't seen it, when you get up on it, it's so incredibly large that it looks rough up here, but as you look towards the horizon, it forms this perfect angle and just shows you the absolute perfection of the angles that when they made it. It's some of my favorite shots of these pyramids are when they just show that sharpness of the actual angles, because you get it when they're just that big, you can see it. Kudos for not portrait filming. Yeah, on me, but I should have had a better bit of gear. Shavin, yep, thin slabs. There's some bigger blocks there. I'm going to do a whole thing on Shavin. So this is Al Mamun's hole as we're walking through it. Yeah, Russians are great. LAH are great.
This is very old. This is very old.
Yeah, I'm sure Mohammed has some good stuff. I'm going to get some more. I have tons of it. I have hours of footage of literally walking around the pyramids. So
this is the plugs towards the front main entrance, is it? Or this is the granite?
Yes.
This isn't granite or lime.
This is it's interesting. So I think we talked about this, Andrew, too. Is the Al Mamun's like hole where it leads you like right into the junction. It's amazing how it finds the junction of all the passageways in the pyramid. Like how the hell? So what you're looking at here is to the right is the passageway that goes up to the ascending passageway that then gets into the Grand Gallery. You're looking at the junction between what is basically the main entrance sort of comes down and it goes main entrance, which is above you, goes, and there's this shaft here. It's sort of to the left. It comes all the way down and it goes down to the subterranean chamber. But you have another shaft that goes up this way that connects up here, and it's up to the ascending passageway, but it's blocked by all these granite blocks. And you see these granite blocks in here. And so what this hole, whoever cut this hole, and I think there's some evidence that, I mean, maybe this was a hole cut out of the thing too. Like, I think that's the idea. But whoever found this entrance, they drilled in underneath and turned the corner such that it hit the exact junction of the subterranean passageway, underneath where the portcullis is, those big blocks, and then drilled around those big blocks to get up into the ascending passageway. The layout's like, it's very, and you can, like, that's literally the tunnel that they dug. They weren't like exploratory tunnels going in other directions, and you can see the.
So this is the plugs towards the front main entrance, is it? Or
yeah,
is it
they're called the portcullis, I guess, is technical. I know I have a picture of it. Oh, PUBG. Yeah, no. I was watching some PUBG earlier. Let's do I have this here? What is it? Great Pyramid schematic. This is it here. There's a good drawing of it somewhere. Yeah, I mean, anyway, it's you can see it.
Yeah. Does this intersect? This intersects up into the ascending passageway here?
No,
This comes up, or does this go
it goes
towards the
all
front?
the way to the top. We can never understand.
That's the
Because this, in my opinion, is more functional, of course, than anything else.
way down.
Right, that's the Chris Dunn view.
So that's it. Actually connects to the main door. That passage down there, and then this is an up. This is
I
a
think that there is more
an ascending passage that goes off that, and is blocked by these
to the subterranean.
big granite plugs.
Did you, when you went to Peru, did you go to further north? It's kind of harder to get to.
So this is in the
You want some light, Luke?
me. You know, you're gonna have to put up with me being excited while I'm here. But
It looks like
this is the ascending passageway. So what goes up to the bottom of the Grand Gallery.
Got a lovely picture of your.
My derriere.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm going to get this part with the light though.
I mean, it's an impressive chamber. Matt and I were trying to figure out looking at the back wall, like behind you, which is not an often photographed area. You can kind of see the top of it here, of the Grand Gallery. And I'm going to get some more pictures of that area soon. But I had a big torch, like
Sorry.
it's like a car headlight mountain biking torch.
Put your torch down here.
Put my torch.
It's the well shaft.
You see that passage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leads all the way to the subterranean.
Subterranean. This is the. What is it called? The Well of Souls.
No, I think that's from an Indiana
Is that what
Jones
they call
movie.
it? No, that's down in the subterranean chamber. Is the pit.
This is, I heard one story. and
The
it's very
leads to the
interesting.
grotto and the thing. And the Cavigula actually was the guy who sort of cleared it
For
out.
the people to come out.
Caviglia. And he's also got a role
Nobody
with
understands the function of it.
the hidden chamber at the top here as well that I think Chuck and I kind of explored. Luke and I went on a bender trying to figure out what's the chamber at the top as well.
Yeah.
It's a couple of lesser known places that are always blocked off.
I was like, so where does that go?
Okay, there's some footage here of me walking up the stairs behind Luke, but I'm going to skip over to Luke's phone right now. Only LAH has good photos inside the well shaft and grotto. I mean, I'm going to try. Maybe they'll let us in there when we rent it. I'd love to like get in there a little bit. We're going to flip over to the other phone now, and you get some of the same sort of conversation. And we'll walk up, and then we'll flip back to mine. I just want to review all of the footage. This is walking up the Grand Gallery, obviously.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, if you just go to today, this was just a regular tourist visit, so they lock off the subterranean and the Queen's Chamber. The only place you can go is the route we took, which is in through Mamoon's Hole, ascending passageway, Grand Gallery, King's Chamber, and that's it. That's public. That's what a public ticket will get you. If you rent the Great Pyramid for a couple of hours, which I've had the opportunity to do on the Hancock trip, and we're doing it next month.
And these pieces are still.
They open up all the doors, but I don't think. I mean, they used to like. I'll just pause for a second because they used to do what you wanted, and you probably can still rent things, but they're like, hey, we want like 3 ladders so we can get up into the Davidson, whatever they're called, the relieving chambers above the great. You know, you need ladders at the end of the Grand Gallery to then get you up into the top left corner. And they used to do that sort of stuff. Maybe they can open the doors to the subterranean chamber. I doubt it because our group's going to be relatively large. But I'd just be happy to get back down to the subterranean chamber and the Queen's Chamber again to take a good look because I've been in this area quite a bit, and because I usually do it on tourist tickets. You just go up there, buy your ticket to the Giza Plateau. It's like an extra $5 or $10 or whatever it is for an entry ticket to the Great Pyramid. And you go up and do it, and I can tell you one time I was there after the Arab Spring, there was no tour. I was in there for an hour or 45 minutes to an hour in the King's Chamber on my own, and no one came in. Just on a regular tourist day. And a couple of people that did come in outside, I was in there for a while. A couple other people that came in, they would just come in, do this, and then walk out again. It's just amazing. You come all the way here to see it, and you go in, and go, oh yeah, look at this, and then they're just straight out the door again. In fact, we might even have some footage of that. Actually, we do that. We have the footage of that in the third pyramid because I've been in all the pyramids at Giza, and it sort of varies which ones are open and which ones aren't. Generally, the Great Pyramid's always open.
What would be the function of something like that?
Yeah, was there ever anything found in these grooves or nothing?
It is filled with another stone. Look.
Oh, they dropped
That's
a
another
camera on a
slab.
rope. That's cool.
Locked in also from the lower level.
Right, and yeah, you can definitely see the tool marks on it.
I'm not understand the function of it.
Yeah, it's a weird feature that they have these locked-in pieces of stone in these grooves. So something was going up and down.
The sarcophagus up. They have
It almost feels like a big cog was like moving up and down this whole chamber.
Right.
Something was happening. Like it's the way it's locked into place like that, and all these grooves. Like
when they are building already.
Well, if it's a sarcophagus, it's the smallest sarcophagus I've ever seen. Because
Still, when they're still doing another wooden one inside.
yeah, you can't fly drones in Egypt.
yeah,
You will get yourself arrested
I mean,
rapidly.
the smallest mummy
they'll
I've seen
confiscate them
was
at the airport. They scan
Tutankhamun,
everything.
and his sarcophagus is massive.
Yeah. And we have many of these in the side period and in the Greek-Roman period by adding the writings on it.
Right.
And of course the mistake came because we dated and dated
By what's written on it.
the books. Yeah, based on what we translated.
That's just bad science.
Well, at one level, this was a great accomplishment.
Yes.
After many years of not knowing
Luke's enthusiastic.
what is this about or what does this say, so to find finally the
I was just like, I'm filming this shit. I'm looking around. I'm just like, you tell me the lecture later. I'm in this space that I'm gonna look at everything.
translation of lots of the hieroglyphics. I cannot say all of it is translated correct.
Right.
Lots of it is translated in a good way. So they thought that this is the top of what we can reach if we can translate this, but it's not. Because machining, you can read it different way.
Right.
Like what we saw in the Serapeum. And like what we see right here.
So that's an interesting point, right? He's saying that he's talking about what's written on them and how we date them, but by the markings on the stone, we can read them a different way. And then I think he's talking about labeling and the graffiti that's in. I know he's going to talk about the graffiti that's in the pyramid. So other people you go in there, so you'd be amazed at how much graffiti there is in there and it's ancient graffiti, some of it like hundreds of years old, but by the same principle, it's like that must be the guy who built it, I guess, right? And he put his name on it.
This graffiti.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to come. But if you're really going to inherit it and reuse it,
Scratches. People have written the shit out of
it's
this.
much better.
Here's the iron door.
Yeah, this is the iron door. Where's that go?
All right, let's flip back over. Top step had a groove that's been cemented in step. Yes, they've definitely added some stuff to this chamber. There is no doubt that they have added some stuff to this chamber. Let's see, this is a bit more widescreen. Let's make sure we're getting all of it. There we go. It flips back to the bottom of the Grand Gallery here. Oh, I see what's happened. My one remaining kickstand on my keyboard had folded up, which would explain why the peg that sits on the other side didn't hold it steady. It had to be flipped back down again. So this is what we were trying to figure out with Matt. Basically, this back wall of the Grand Gallery. Try and find photos of this. There's very few. Like nobody has good photos of this area of the Grand Gallery. Everyone's looking up at the front. There's not a lot of like up close good pictures of the masonry in this area, and I'm planning on getting some.
This also is a mystery. What's the function of it? These bits, these pieces, those.
You just get my heavy breathing.
What would be the function?
I did say it would be mobile phone footage.
It is filled with a lot of stuff.
I legit haven't watched this in years. That's the torch too. It's like a mountain bike headlamp. Put it on a helmet and just the car headlight's great.
Yeah.
USB charged. So it cut to the top of the Grand Gallery, and we're looking up here. We're going to get into the interesting stuff soon with all the resonance and the tonal stuff, in particular on Luke's phone. It's crazy. I mean, it just sounds cool. Okay, that boop there from Luke. Some of this favorite thing.
Like this.
Wait.
You see that? Sound vibration.
No, that's from Yusuf. This is Luke's one. Wait. That we know that's a like I know how to flip over now, so we'll go back to Luke's phone. Same stuff.
Some part of it leads to
Much better image, but and sound, but
This was
vertical.
supposedly, wasn't this where the dropping for the
the
stone?
box, the stone box.
This is Cavigula's tunnel. So this is I think it's called Cavigula's tunnel. We finally figured this out. Like I think Matt had figured it out. Or Matt from Ancient Architects had figured this out. But this is not shown on maps. But as you go straight into the top of the Grand Gallery into the King's Chamber, there's a right-hand turn with a grate, and there's hidden. It disappears around a corner. You don't quite know where it goes. It was like a tunnel that was apparently dug looking for like other access ways or treasure or some shit. The side tunnel, yeah, it's just not on any maps, and I'm still not entirely convinced of where it goes and what's going on in this area. And you can also see how it connects to the King's Chamber, given there's one block in the King's Chamber that isn't under load, and that could have been used to maybe put the box in there. Or it's big enough.
Look at that. You see,
It goes in and around to the left.
that goes
Right.
up. Doesn't look like it goes up, does it?
You've never been back here?
No, this was always closed. Like this.
Here we go.
You see that?
Yeah, they were looking. I think that's what they were looking for, was maybe access to the shaft. And here's the other beep. It cracks me up every time.
In here, it stood up.
Yeah.
This is that portcullis room. This is an interesting. It's hard to see all this, but
See, there is a knob like it was in Peru.
Yeah.
wait for the resonance here.
Wow.
This is what's labeled as a resonance valve by Dr. Christopher Dunn.
Dr. Christopher Dunn. That's Luke. Just interestingly, you see how dark the ceiling is? The granite in this area, as it sort of comes around, we'll see it on the end when we come out, but there's it's discolored coming out of the King's Chamber. So there's like it's like it's burnt. There's literally like a burnished finish to the granite in the King's Chamber, and in the chamber as it comes out, sort of as it turns around the corner going into the Grand Gallery, it's like this burnished effect on the granite ends, and it's a very noticeable difference. We'll see that on the way out.
Cannot be just a coincidence. So you know the official story about this? When they think they put the barrier on the inside,
Right.
Yeah.
and then they moved, and then there used to be wheels or like,
Uh-huh.
with
There's
wood
definitely like
and
broken channels in here.
and the ropes. I don't believe it. This is also, in my opinion, is an imagination. Where is the wheel on the other side?
Right.
You know what I mean? Has to be another wheel on the other side. I know. And this If this, they think it's for sliding, but what about this? It's definitely or indefinitely. It's not
Yeah, right.
right now, so far.
Exactly.
But this looks
Page
like what can
174.
also
I kind of know
function
exactly what you're
as,
pointing at, what this is.
Vibration, sound resonance.
Listen to that. It's just crazy.
Now that's granite stone.
Yeah. That is a big lump of granite.
Is
It's
my,
when you have national project.
yeah, and some of those stones in that entryway are giant. All right, before we go in there, we're going to switch back to my point of view and see what this says. The sound in this one is so much worse. Let me
In
just
here, if you stood up,
Yeah.
the same thing, different perspective.
turn around, you see there's the mountain.
A bit more of a look at Caviglia's tunnel and then back down the Grand Gallery. This time in landscape. Yeah, it's all been beat up. I mean, people have been hammering at this for a while. It's remarkable that it's still there. The amount of time, I mean, thousands of years, people have literally been banging on this with a hammer.
So you know the official story about this?
This is the front chamber.
The variant in the inside.
Yeah, the
And
stones.
then they moved, and then there used to be wheels.
So let's
or
look
like
up over the bar in the
wood
middle.
and,
block that's
and
in the middle.
ropes. I don't believe it.
And you
This
duck
is
under it and
all
go
also,
up
in my
into
opinion,
the.
is an imagination. Where is
I
the
don't know.
wheel
If, I
on
don't know if
side?
the rock up there, it's
No,
between them, had been removed.
This has to be. Has to be another wheel on the other side.
I'm fascinated by this chamber. I was at that point. I was like, what the hell is this?
And this.
Yeah,
This, do you think
there
it's
you
for
go.
sliding?
Not
What about
identified.
this? It's definitely, oh, not definitely, it's nothing for definite right now so far. But this looks like what can also be functional as vibration.
I
sound
love the
resonance.
dust motes in the light. Look, and I actually at one
Now
point
that's
synced up
granite stone.
Yeah.
the audio from Luke's
That
phone
is a
to the
big lump of
footage.
granite.
From mine, because his audio, he's had this Sony phone at the time. It was like fancy pants 4K thing, you know. All right, we'll watch this for a bit and then we'll flip back. There's a bit of crossover between these two, but I want to review it. I always think this is trippy entering the King's Chamber.
I wish I had my Osmo. Should I light it up?
And did you know that now was an Egyptian museum?
Yeah, I heard. Hang on.
Unbelievable, but there's plastic water bottles at the end of the shaft. It's like probably 12 feet or something in. So some assholes have like thrown water bottles in there. It's just, I'm sure they get in there with the thing and pull them out occasionally, but it's like, who the fuck does that? Like, oh, I said a bad word. Yeah, we take a good look at this. This is the fan. The other side, the star shaft, that they've installed a fan into it that doesn't run. And the size of those roof beams, gigantic. And all this has been dug up all along this edge here. It's all these floor plates. It's all bullshit. It's steel plates. And they put this air conditioning unit over a hole in the corner of it, which is just a steel plate. It's a modern thing. Yeah, the non-working fan. I'm glad it's not, because it would make noise. And the real
What is the
amazing
explanation?
part of this is that it's silent.
Ancient Egyptians run out of granite.
The issue is that the other pyramids, the third pyramid, they have such roaring ventilation fans in there. You can't do any tonal resonance testing at all. Like they've really almost deliberately tried to kill that. Do I know Wonders of the Past by John Hamilton? Hundreds of rare images. I don't. So yeah, we're just looking at the hole here, but there's a little bit of footage. I have some mobile phone sort of footage of trying to stick in there and whatnot. I've seen some of the pictures from the past in there, but I got as much of a look in there as I can. There's a couple of frames in this that are reasonable. I think I pulled them out in videos in the past. I think I might have made a list of this stuff when I was talking to Chuck one time. I think there's a video on my channel talking to Chuck from CF Apps channel about the hole back here. There's a couple of frames in here that show you there's brickwork and like a steel girder in the corner that they've used to shore up whatever's underneath there. There you go. Yeah, so that's like I think that's angle iron. And then just this is modern masonry around it, and it's just a pit that's been dug in the corner, which I assume doesn't go anywhere. They dig all through this. Apparently they were digging up in the relieving chambers in the 90s, and it's sort of always been covered up. There's reports of it I found on... There's a sonic engine. It's a long story. I'm trying to talk to that guy. And some toning.
We have seen unfinished books in the Egyptian Museum.
Yeah.
We can see that more. The same marking of machining is here on the surface of this box as well.
Before we get into the machining, let's go back to Luke's phone. The sound should be way better.
Yes, it is.
It's not an original intentional feature. It's the hole is it's a steel plate. Like it's a modern thing. Someone dug a hole in the back and someone literally chiseled and ripped out the block and probably all this is the last 3 or 4 you can see how they've been re-cemented in. They've actually used some granite. I mean there was another big block. The actual block that came out of that hole was at some point in the King's Chamber. If you go back, yeah, there's a huge amount of damage on the wall. But if you go back enough in time, you'll find not only the box that's in there, there's also a big block that came out of the wall or out of the floor, and it was broken up and busted up and taken out of there eventually. And it's just then they covered that place with this. They covered that hole where it came out of, and I think someone in the who knows when. I don't even know if they know who actually dug the hole there, but they were clearly looking for something, and they've just now in modern times covered it up with a steel plate and put a hole in it for some reason. I don't know why the hole's there, but it's just like a modern repair almost of the chamber. So you can always see in the back right hand corner as we go in here, you'll see the plaster in the floor. And this is the shaft, yeah. There are people hammering looking for this other shaft, so the shaft on the other side.
I found ancient water bottles.
Arsehole.
That is just a crying shame.
This is like the favourite part of Egypt. It's like the trash everybody's doing. I get so many comments about, is that trash? I'm like, yeah, it's trash. It was a later attempt to find something, yeah.
1 million difference or less in each block by the time you go out to the surface.
There's no light.
So imagine the challenge of this huge structure to do that and then another one on the other side.
MF has a
They've
point.
done something back here, right? To the floor.
All this part was once open.
That's a steel plate too. This is all ripped up. This is all modern cemented.
Yeah,
It's all been repaired.
cement.
I think it's people hammering looking for the other side shaft, really. It's hollow.
It's all
So, what is the explanation?
It might have been sweat
Ancient
dripping.
Egyptians run out of granite?
God, I'm glad my hair's a bit longer. It's so unmanageable. Like it's such a retard. I don't think it goes anywhere. I think they were just digging, looking for treasure and whatever, and shafts and things. I think it was a early explorer attempt to like rob the place and hope there was some gold down there or something. And probably got way too hard too quickly, you know, like just solid stone. What are you gonna? How far are you gonna go? I don't think there's any passageways down there. Yeah, look at that. That's the ventilation fan. I'm pretty sure that huge rip in the wall.
The same machine is here in the surface of this.
Now, if you look closely, you can see all of these lines. There's a lot of machining lines on this box, like the vertical lines. It shows up from. We'll probably spend a fair bit of time looking for it, but
Lost technology.
Oh, I see it.
The line, the very fine lines.
you can see it like here. It's the light makes it tough, but you can definitely see it when you go in there in person. It literally has been like machined. There's such a obvious machining mark on a lot of this stuff, and just these sharp lips of edges where things have been.
Is on the surface.
And there's a
there
lip up
goes,
top that I capture
because
at
we
the
know
end.
This marking here is directly from the machine. The first and the last cut.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some more this time around. There's a lot of striations on it. We'll get to watch my footage in a minute. The same thing. There's literally him filming me filming the same thing.
This right here.
There's a lot of interesting things about this box. The lips on it are interesting. There's drill holes where people have put like candle wax and they've melted candles in there. But there's also like it's almost like we discovered something, like Yusuf hadn't noticed this, but it's like the way the lid must have slid on was on this side coming out this way, because there's a lip at the back and it must have just slid on. There was a flat surface on top on 3 of the sides, but not all of them.
They fill it with something like wax. They also filled it with something.
100%.
Yeah. The Abu Sir machining lines on that block of basalt, crazy. You get some similar stuff in this. The stuff in the Serapeum is interesting because it got polished out. Like that, a lot of this, this is almost like they didn't quite polish out the outside lines. Although you can still see some of this stuff even in Abu Sir. There's very fine lines,
It looks like
but mostly it's more polished.
the lid was not being put like this. No, it looks like it's lit.
We're talking about the lid.
This part,
Yeah,
Yes.
They go from back here, you can see facing.
you can actually see the lines like it came on to that thing.
it looks like
Yeah, we'll come back to that. Yeah, it's power to this Yusuf's perspective, and I agree with him, is that the only way that you can explain some of the markings on the stone is through power tools. Something far more than hand. So hand tools can't. Precision's a different argument. The hand tools can't achieve the degree of precision we see in a lot of these objects and in the cuts. But apart from that, you have striations and machining marks in very hard stone, and some things like overcuts, Like there's a good example in the museum of like under the armpits where they've cut the stone and they've made overcuts. And you're talking about like you have to, if you're doing it with a hand tool, you have to work for a day to make an inch or quarter inch of travel. And you're not going to make overcuts when you're cutting things by hand. The only way you make overcuts is when you, oh shit, I've gone too far with my, you know, my circular saw or whatever it is. And they had, but that seems like the ability they had with the stone, and the markings that we have support those ideas. Like there's just no other, none of the primitive tools can explain the real markings that we see on a lot of this stuff. So like it's just, we just have to put it in that box though. Like that's the issue. That's the issue. It's like we found copper tools and we found copper chisels and flint knives and pounding stones. We found the tools that the dynastic Egyptians used. So we just have to squeeze everything into that box despite any evidence to the contrary. And it's, you know, we don't have the tools. We don't know what tools made these marks, but we are, my whole point is that we're damn sure, I think there's plenty of evidence that suggests these copper tools and the things that are in the archaeological record couldn't make those marks. Like that's the whole point of it. Like that's what we're saying. I think, I'm not saying I know how they were made. All I'm saying is that I think it's bullshit that anyone can claim that these tools that we have in the archaeological record made these marks. It's made from a tool that we don't have. We haven't found it. We don't have records of it. We don't know what it was. We can make similar marks with power tools. As far as we know, they're a power tool. But it could be, who knows? But I think, you know, if it looks like a 9-foot or a 9-meter diameter circular saw, and we've got markings that suggest it, it was most likely a 9-meter diameter circular saw. And that's just so far beyond what we know of the dynastic Egyptians' capability that that's where all the implications come, right? But I'm mostly about, like, someone has to, if you're going to claim that they made this stuff with these copper tools and these flint knives, then demonstrate it. Like the burden of proof is on the experimentalists who insist that they know how it was done. I don't know how it was done. I think those people that claim they know how it was done need to satisfy the 4-point test that's in Christopher Dunn's book that explains how you have to account for the most difficult elements of an object's construction, and then you have to replicate that using the tools that you think's made it, including the most difficult aspects of that object. And that's the part that hasn't happened. There's lots of people who have hammered in stone and said you can make a hole, you can make a rough sort of, you know, 3-degree corner if you hammer on the outside and you grind it. But you have to actually analyze the object and look at what's the most precise elements of this, what is the degree of precision that's in it, and then what is the most difficult aspects of it, bearing in mind that some of those may involve the entire object, like keeping the geometry exactly precise relative to all the other faces in a 12-foot long Serapeum granite box. Like you have to be able to account for that with the methods that you're claiming, and nobody's done that. So there you go.
Bring the light a little bit, you see?
Rant over. I'll catch up with chat. Sorry. I'm fired up.
Of that ancient lost technology.
Saying, oh, I see it. Yeah.
The line, the very fine lines, is on the surface. Now there goes, because we know this marking here is directly from the machine. The first and the last cut. There is no many cuts in this type of shit. So
Let me try and get it.
The first and the last.
Oh, I see it there. I've got it.
yeah. So there goes all the theory,
Actually, that's not
all
bad.
the what they think, how this was polished by sand and rock and water and
Yeah.
Yes.
this is only because that's what they saw on the scenes on the walls.
Did you hear what he said there? He said, so there goes the theory of the fact that they polished this box with the sand and the water and the rocks. So that's the whole idea. Like that's the explanation for how all these things got flat. And that's what they say that happened to this box. Even though there's striations and machining marks, they say that no, it was made flat through repeated polishing with sand and water and rocks, because that's what's drawn on the walls. Like we have scenes of ancient Egyptians doing that activity I'm sure they did. But you don't have scenes of them building pyramids. You don't have scenes of them cutting these types of rocks. Yeah, it's a weird. We have these pictures and we have, you know, these tools that we found, and therefore that's how everything got done.
This here too.
What petrified wood? I don't know anything about what. Tell me, what do you mean about petrified wood? A live premiere of a video? No, I haven't. I haven't done that yet. I don't know that it's necessary to do premiering. I guess I sometimes schedule the chats. I guess the live streams when I do them on the main channel, but I haven't premiered a video.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can see it there, can't you?
That's a good point about the welder.
See the lip here?
Yeah, the drip marks on the Serapeum box are a whole other thing. I think that's legitimately worth looking at and studying further. I don't know the right explanation for this. I don't know what we're getting here, but
And the drills.
I'm clearly not caring about what direction my camera's pointed. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's go to where that goes. We got a little bit left here, so this is a bit more of this. Maybe we'll flip back over to Luke's phone. How far into it? Wow, we've got a lot to go on Luke's phone yet. Let's just watch this for a bit.
Especially if that edge that he doesn't found.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I mustn't have read all the chat. My bad. Never mind. Petrified wood within the geopolymer stones that have been electrically. Okay. That's out there, but I'm not that deep into it, I guess. I have some petrified wood though. It does. It does have what was the mounting of a pen mount into it. It was a thing my dad got from working at MIM at the mines in Australia. It's a nice piece of petrified wood. But they used to find that shit everywhere in Australia. And he has the lumps of it like this big. And he's like giant chunks of it. I got a bunch of nice, interesting shit up there, actually. But yeah, it's a pretty, I'll put it up again. Pretty piece. Wait for it. Yeah, all over the place. I mean, Australia's got that ancient landscape, you know. I love the beams, the roof beams.
Just massive.
It makes me want to talk about
Not less than 60 tons.
Builders of the Ancient Mysteries. 60 tons, so each, yeah, not less than 60 tons is what he said.
Well, we don't even know how far they would go, I'd imagine. They might keep going. Is that the edge of them? I don't know. Yeah.
And what's crazy is you have like, what is it, 7 chambers of these above them, like just beam after like stacks of beams above it. In the relieving chamber, what so-called relieving chambers.
What's so-called pressure relieving chamber.
Right.
All these giant stands like this.
Yeah, the tops are rough cut on the top. That's right. They machined it.
Gated parking efficiency.
Think of it like this. Imagine this is like a giant box, like a Serapeum box or something, because it's almost similar in that the other sides of these beams were rough cut. Same thing on the Serapeum boxes, although they're polished on the outsides. It's crazy, but even better polished on the insides. And what seemed important in the Serapeum boxes was that the inside geometry was perfect, and the inside space. I'm going to try and measure a couple of them when I'm there next to see if the inside spaces are the same size on the different boxes, particularly in the main gallery. I know you can get into a couple of them. I'm going to try and get into them. We'll see what happens, but yeah, it seemed to me the whole impression I get with the Serapeum boxes is it had to be solid. They had to scoop and remove all the cracks and the imperfections. But other than that, the geometry didn't matter so much. What was important was the inside geometry was perfect, and that the outside was solid, or the rest of the box was solid. Nothing's ever found in this chamber. No, the box was found empty. I don't even know if they found a lid to it.
There is no tools, there is no eye.
Right.
That's their opinion that because granite stone is very solid, so it cannot be chiseled, you know,
Right.
by
Copper.
copper chisels. This is, of course, very
Magic copper. Magic copper.
almost impossible. You can think of about the solidness of granite stone and the softness of copper chisels, so it's almost impossible. So maybe it's more like a stone chisel if we are talking about any work of carving, shaping aesthetic from granite or the marking we saw here that definitely doesn't belong to a chisel.
Yes, right.
It's definitely
How do you-
circular, so
Yeah, good point. He's saying that the markings here don't belong to stone chisels at all.
we have more than one evidence, and this is the lost technology that Christopher Dunn, of course, our teacher,
Right.
was talking about. But still, the official story, they don't believe
We'll take a closer look at that wall.
in the Middle Kingdom time, the stone, the granite stone, was not hacked out of the bedrock. They think it was just found laying around.
So that's the official story.
This is the official
That they
story.
found all these granite
That they found
stones.
this granite and they didn't have the ability to carve it out of the bedrock. But when you look at the shape of the pillars from the Old Kingdom and the size of the blocks and everything, you, as a stone carver, as me, I realized that those who had opened
Yeah.
that granite stone, they had almost total control on the stone to shape it, to move it. But let's not talk about moving it because that's another challenge. Shaping it, it's obviously, clearly, they were masters, not just like somebody who didn't have the tools. If I don't have the tools to shape this stone, why am I going to bother even working with it?
Right.
So
Makes a good point. So, reiterate if you didn't catch all of that, but the official story is that the Old Kingdom never was able to, and this is still today, like this is the thing, like that supposedly the Middle Kingdom evolved the capability of quarrying stone, and they had iron, they could work the granite properly. They still to this, I mean, that's the conundrum with a lot of this. A lot of the Orthodox positions kind of with the Old Kingdom suggest that they used granite that was just laying around and shaped it somehow. It's such ridiculous, it's such a weird position to take. They pretty clearly had the ability to quarry granite and work it.
the other style of pillars, like what's so-called the palm shape, and also what's known as the
Lotus.
shape, it's very, very complicated. It starts with a wide angle, and then comes its narrower, and then the ground of the pillar itself is all from a single solid piece. Nobody else did this. Even the Romans, with the iron and everything, they still couldn't accomplish that because it's more challenging. It's much easier to make the pillar and then the ground from another piece.
Right.
Let's not even
Find
mention.
that those, suppose that the more primitive with copper chisels that they couldn't query from the bedrock, did something more challenging that nobody else could match. Right. Definitely there's something wrong.
So here's the damaged wall.
That's right here is the
In the back of my head, poking around in the fan that's been installed in there.
other one on the other side. The chisel was there. Yeah. For what? For breathing?
Looks like a man-sized hole. Well, see, this is the tube. Look, you see that?
Yeah, I see.
But it does narrow down, that's for sure.
Look what we did to it.
So Yusuf saying, look what we did to it.
backwards, we have the colors, names,
Up in the review chambers.
and here and up, same like the ones up in the review chamber. There used to be a lot more here, you can still see it in the older photos. Yeah, let me do something. Somebody told me it was a marker.
A marker.
Things like this.
All right. Let me flip back to mine. Where are we at on this? Yeah, we only got a little bit longer to go. Let me just make sure the volume is correct.
Not less than 60 tons.
60.
At least.
Same footage, same audio. So I think this is telling you can see what was the original sort of flat machined surface almost for the lid. That lid would have slid over, and on the piece that's on the left hand side you can see the ridge that's on. It's definitely been beat on. I don't know who that. I mean, some people have been in there beating on it.
Well,
And there is the depth of it, what's so-called pressure relieving chamber.
that's right.
There's all these giant slabs. So here is the complicated part of the efficiency.
You can see the lines on this.
There is no tools, there is no light. It's the opinion that because granite stone is very solid, so it cannot be chiseled, you know, by copper chisel.
Getting up in it.
Very anti-challenging.
I think we did this again. What's this run for? 2 minutes? Yeah. Yeah, probably. Yeah, pieces, take a chunk of the granite from the King's Chamber box, sure, why not? You give it a better look at the concreted sections. Pretty sure that the next one's a steel plate. That seems like stone. The next one's a steel plate. That's steel. That's stone, and the back one's steel. I was trying. I can shove my my little GoPro in there now. I think I've got like a little GoPro. What do they call it? Pocket Osmo. Yeah, I think so. I think definitely looters. Yeah. I mean, it's been looted. Who knows how many times. And people like hammering into it. Like it takes a dedicated. I mean, you can imagine how hard it would have been to get that block out of the floor and drill down on it. It takes some effort. I think this has the nice clean shot of the ridge. Finally, I think it's my favourite little shot of the machining marks on the block. I use it in my videos. I think this bit here. It's ringing a bell, eh? Geopolymer. Yeah, here we go. So this is the ridge of it on the top here. I like this. There you go. Bang. Like you can just see it very clearly. Like that. I don't know how you make that without some form of power tool. Thoughts on stop. thoughts on? We'll go back to this. There's only a little bit of this left now too. As we, oh no, what did I do? God. Alright, let's fix that up a bit. That's no good, hey? Doing that. I don't think it was geopolymer, basically. I think there's a lot of problems with geopolymer, the whole geopolymer idea. At Giza in particular, I mean, we have limestone quarries. I mean, we have a match between the stone that's in the pyramid and the areas around it, plus every stone's a different shape and size. They're not all the same. If they're all the same, you'd have a better case for it, but it would necessitate making a mold for every single stone, which just doesn't make any sense. I think there's definitely some promise for it in other areas, like Pumapunku and whatnot. Yeah, okay, let's watch the rest of this bit. Let me make sure the volume's correct. It is.
In many cases, you can find that this is not going to work for sliding. What is that here? Why is this
And Chris Dunn has other concerns with it too. I think it's one of those things we could figure out with testing. Like make a bag of it. Should be able to test that stuff and make a bag of it if that's what it is. I just don't think you can make, particularly. I mean, it's a different story with limestone and andesite. Like I think they might be onto something at Pumapunku. I don't know. Still doesn't explain the precision and the machining and the finishing of the blocks. You have the same issues there too, but there is more evidence that it's possibly a geopolymer in South America in some areas. But ultimately, it just still seems to me like something you could analyze and make a bag of. Like I just don't think it explains stone like granite. And like some people say, oh, the granite's been poured. Granite doesn't work like that. I'm not sure you could grind it down to a powder and then reconstitute it. I don't know how that.
Chisel marks back there.
There's a lot more goes into creating granite than
Do you
that.
think they've made this? This is something. I haven't seen this area here or this passageway on any diagram either. Like I don't.
Why is there such primitive tool marks on unfinished obelisk? Because people have been trying to quarry that thing for forever. There's lots of modern quarrying marks where it seems like this. So just pause this while we watch this bit of the video because I want to explain this. This is the last bit of Luke's phone footage, but this is the discoloration and the change in the color of the granite as you come out on this side, whatever this side is for you guys. It's my left, I guess. But that as you come out of the king's chamber, it's a darker color, and then you go around the corner and like the discoloration stops. It's almost like there was that goddamn big explosion there or something, and something scorched the walls. Yeah, I think it's stone. You have quarries too, but the marks on the obelisk. If you're talking about the scoop marks on the unfinished obelisk in the quarry, they're anything but primitive. I think those are mistakenly attributed to the pounding stones. It's hocus pocus. Particularly, you look at Dunn's study of how the underneath marks could have been made. I think the scoop marks are indicative of a much more advanced technology, something that was able to literally scoop the granite away from that obelisk, or grind it away in such a way that it left those marks. I don't think they're the results of pounding stones. There's other marks on there. There's definitely quarrying marks where people have tried to cut it in modern times, but I don't think the scoop marks are primitive. I'll back this up just a little bit. All right. But you'd have to tell me what marks specifically you think are primitive.
Well,
No, yeah, I think the scoop marks are something else. There it is. There it is. There it is. And that is my footage from inside the Great Pyramid. Stone softened in chemical base or just mechanical power? That's a tough one. There seems to be some evidence of chemical stone polishing, at least at the Serapeum. Maybe I can find that real quick. Let's see. Serapeum. 2019 Serapeum number 1. That sounds about right. Let's go look at the Serapeum polishing marks real quick. And give it a minute. It's gonna wig out for a while. While it tries to find everything that I've linked to this goddamn file. You know what? Let's just cancel everything. Man, what do you want to find? We'll offline all of that. I don't care. This one. Yeah. Okay. Full Serapeum synced remastered. That sounds about right, doesn't it? So it's somewhere back here. And I'll even this up in a minute. Actually, I might even have it ripped out here already. Yeah. So here's some. Here's the. Let's just watch this bit of the drip marks. This is just the raw footage too. This is why I think there's some evidence that it could be chemical. I mean, and this is particularly for the polishing, but I think the machining marks are explained by machining. I think, and if you make a study of the boxes in the Serapeum, there's a rough machining stage and then there's a fine machining stage. And I think this also gets reflected on several other objects. There was something that was just super abrasive that was able to cut the shit out of the stones, like cut through stuff. And then there was a much finer, almost finishing cut that would leave much finer marks, like, you know, something very much finer, almost like a polishing. And then the final stage, at least as regards these Serapeum boxes, was this perfect mirror polish, and that removed all of the marks at all. Like, it just turned it into a mirror. And there's some elements of the boxes that don't get it. So the outsides of the boxes get it, the outsides and the tops of the lids, but the undersides of the lids don't get that final stage. And you do have other boxes like the giant big black box that's at the, if you've watched my Serapeum stuff, maybe you know the one I'm talking about, but there's one that's developed a crack. It's in an area that no one gets to see. It's behind some closed doors. It's probably the biggest box in there, but it's much rougher. It's been subject to that rough cut, and there's all these machining marks on it from that, but it never got to this final polish stage because it must have cracked, and they just parked it in a corner and left it alone. And so you have a couple different examples of different stages of boxes. You also have the unfinished box that's in the passageway. I really think the Serapeum was one place where work got interrupted. They were still working on it and it got interrupted, and they just parked stuff up and they left. And most of it had been finished, but there were some boxes that weren't finished, and they were just, gave you an idea, particularly the box in the hallway, man. It's like not even close to an actual box. You know, it's got so much work left to be done to it. And the fact that they were even trying to attempt to do this work down in these spaces, which seems to be, there's all this evidence that that's what happened, because you've got a number of unfinished boxes down there, and then you've got tons of finished boxes. Unbelievable. Catching up real quick. I'll blow this play while I read the chat.
Here, this side, this is where we discovered this. So this is the smooth surface of granite, but not shiny. This is shiny. This is not shiny. But between them here. This
Get in here and see this for yourself, man. You can trust me. Touching these little drips feels differently. Like it's
some kind of liquid,
and it's so obvious to you that it's a liquid. Like that polish on the side is exactly the same as this underneath polish.
and then forms these lines with drops.
It's like smooth
And
as
that's
glass.
same like how you read
All on the other to the right of where his torch
on
is.
top of it.
That's
Because
all
obviously no doubt about that.
polished
And
perfectly.
these,
Like
well, that liquid
how to
line,
explain it?
exactly the same shiny surface like that.
Look at
I
it, you
gave
can
this
just
all
see
the
it in the
observations
colouring.
we need, and also explain how the polishing reached all these deeper.
I would love
levels.
someone
So
to experiment
where
on
is
this.
the theory now of polishing with the sand and the water under the rock? It's only on the scene on the wall, but not on the real artifact. Which one I'm gonna believe? Of course, the real artifact is the one that tells you the absolute truth.
Yeah. Such a good quote. It's the artifacts will tell you the truth. Like, such a good quote. And yeah, there's just no, like, again, it's not unexplainable with technology. Like, okay, so there was some chemical that did this. What it disproves is the idea that this was done with all these primitive methods. Like, that's all. That's the point. That's the value in this discovery. It's like, not that there's something that we could use today to do stuff. Sure, that'd be cool too. But it's like it completely throws that whole. It's one of those pieces of evidence that just turfs away the whole story of established history as of what we know it. Like, that's why I think it's so important. Like, things like this are like, something else was going on, and there's all this other ancillary evidence that suggests the same thing. The Younger Dryas, blah, 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 longer timelines. And you got to remember that our picture of history and the idea that civilization started 6,000 years ago in Sumeria and all that, and it led to the Egyptians. I mean, that's been an established picture that's been in place for, what, 100 years, if not more? It's probably time that it shifted out a little bit. And Göbekli Tepe is the hilarious thing. Like, just, if you ever need an example of how establishment resists change, it's how they dealt with Göbekli Tepe. They literally changed the definition of hunter-gatherers such that Göbekli Tepe doesn't equal civilization. That's what's happened. It doesn't matter what you want to, however else you want to try and classify it and find a middle ground, but that's what's happened. Like, they literally changed what it meant to be hunter-gatherers such that didn't equal civilization. That was hunter-gatherers. That was some very organized hunter-gatherers. It's not civilization. Like, it's not possible. They would. Yeah.
Here we have many evidence about how bad
Anyway.
the tool was. For example, the stone carver. Here, this is when the surface is too smooth and the tool is too soft, and it would slide a little bit. So if you're like tak 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 tak.
I mean, wouldn't you do the hard lifts first and then polish after or smooth after? Wouldn't that
That's
happen?
if you are doing the entire thing.
Yeah,
But
right.
if you inherited this and you
Yes.
are reusing it, then this is exactly what happened here.
Exactly.
And that's also not done just by hand like that. This was
look
drawn
at the,
first.
Look at the end
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the
yeah.
water. I mean, it's just.
Hardly scratches on the
Let's
surface.
look at
it's
the other
something
box.
I
real
would-
quick. Where's the other box? Back here. We're in there early. Oh yeah, this is it here. This is it. My favorite here. My best. Seriously, my favorite part about this is me walking up and because we'd been in these other areas, I hadn't really looked at the end of the hallway where this thing was. And the first time I see it, it's like, oh, and you just hear my voice like, oh, it's like that's strange to see something that gigantic in this corner.
I told you some of the boxes looks like they were coming in. Some of the boxes looks like they were already here, and only the reference came on in later. This one here, for example, is also unfinished.
Huh. This one here, for example, is also unfinished. That's what he's. Let me just back that up a bit. It's hilarious. What's he saying?
And I told you some of the boxes looks like they were coming in. Some of the boxes looks like they were already here, and only the writings came on in later. This one here, for example, is also unfinished. It's like the largest one.
Yeah. So this isn't polished.
Look at the height.
This had the fine
But it has
the
a
latest
giant crack in it. You see that?
the last
Right, the lid is
last
massive.
I guess couple of layers of
And the
machining
lid is
done to it.
massive.
So if this is functional, what's the, I mean, some sort of catalyst chamber must be something.
The
that's
underneath of
something
the lid
you need
apparently
the
is
weight
quite
to
smooth.
Contain it.
And I want to get. I didn't get in on it. I'm gonna next time if I get a chance, I'm
have a
gonna
big
get
crack
right
in
up
it.
in on this thing.
We
And
have something.
I didn't get in it. I should have got in it. Kind of got to do like a pull up and get in there.
The lid almost reached a very
I think there's another nub lid. I think there's maybe a couple that have nubs on them.
Yeah.
So all you needed after this level is to
I'll
smooth
have to
it
look.
and then
But again, look at all the different types of stone you've got in there.
yeah. This is because we find the feldspar crystals
Yeah, this is
big.
not Aswan granite
This
too.
can
This shit
be
came from
like,
somewhere else.
also granodiorite or cyanite.
Yeah.
Took it out of the edge there.
This is mostly cyanide, but was perforatic diorite. Thing. It's a combination.
Cyanide box. Yeah, probably a little bit harder
We
than
doubt
granite.
that this is coming from. We doubt that this is coming from Aswan, by the way.
No, this is a Sinai stone,
This
you
is,
think?
looks like more like navigation channel.
Yeah, she's a big old box, that one. I do want to take a closer look at it.
Yeah.
The base of the lid is definitely smoother. Hmm? I cannot imagine handling massive pieces like this in a very narrow places like that.
Yeah.
That like, you know, mix it.
All right. Well, that was fun. I hope you enjoyed that little review of the Great Pyramid stuff. We could sit here all night looking through this stuff, to be honest. But I'm probably going to call it quits. It's 1:30 for me, which is late. Let's see what's going on. A little bit more of the chat. Overkill and Gravitons. Thank you. There was nothing. I'm glad you appreciate the footage. Can it be chipped off? Yeah, I mean, there are definitely some samples have been taken here and there. I wish, yeah, and the grain. You're right about the grain and also the. It's not just grain, but there's the whole patterns and sort of strata lines almost in some granite pieces. That's sort of a very. I think it's proof that it's not geopolymer, at least for the granite. And the glyphs are horrible, yeah, on the boxes. This is true. Let's see. Yeah, I got to redo that. I got to redo the whole Serapeum series at some point into its own video, maybe. Yeah, man, you should do that, Andrew. Do some more recording. There's tons to. It's always something to do. Like a nubbed box episode. I should definitely do something about the nubs and do a piece on it at some point. We should talk. We should do a little podcast and chat about it actually, and then I'll make a video out of it. That would probably be the way to do it. You can tell me all about it, and we'll cut something together from that. I think that'd be fun. All right, guys. That's a good song to end it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I'll try and stream a little bit more. I wanted to stream this out. I'm thinking about making a video about that initial entry into the Great Pyramid, just sort of sharing some of that stuff and talking a bit about the features and whatnot in there. Although it's like I'm like I know I'm going to get probably better footage of it in a couple of weeks here when I go, but hopefully that happens and everything comes together. But yeah, I'll stream again. Take it easy. I'm going to close this out. Have fun. I will, yeah, just to Twitter. I'll try and ping me on Twitter, but otherwise follow this channel. Just subscribe to this channel, and I will